I'm Alan Malwa. I'll take you through the history of Kenolkobil.
My name is Imanda Chele.
Gilbert Kipto. Ian Bellew.
Finally, I am Samson Mushiri.
Okay, Kenolkobil, it was first known as Kenol, Kenya Oil Company, and it was started and founded and incorporated in 1959 on the 13th of May. And in 1959, the same year, the company changed to be a private company, hence it was listed as the first petroleum company that was listed on the NSE, the Nairobi Stocks Exchange Market. In 1980, the company had financial problems, hence was placed under receivership, and in 1983, it came out of its problems, thus it started functioning well as it was earlier on. In 1984, the Mobil Oil, which is based in Delaware in USA, acquired assets in Kenya and Uganda, thus forming an alliance with Kenol in the year 1986, hence increasing profitability of the company. This is one of the ways that this company, Kenol, had its rising action, whereby we see in 1999 all the way through 2007, the company has started regional expansion in Kenya, Uganda, Ethiopia, Zambia, Mozambique, and Rwanda. Hence, in 2007, we see that it changed its name to Kenolkobil, and in 2011, Kenolkobil was formed by the merging of Kenol, that is Kenya Oil Company, and Kobil. Thank you.
Let's take a look at its management, and the question would be, what makes it tick? So the first thing is, it is credible. They have credibility, and under this segment, you see that the management team has credible portfolios, and a good example is Patricia Lai, who is a member of the board. She has vast experience at senior management level in economics and in accounting and finance. Number two is experience. We have an example, that's James Madenge, who's also a member of the board. He has had vast experience in the industry, having joined in 1979, and has been the managing director for Caltex Oil Kenya from the year 1997 to 2003. Thirdly, we have expertise. All of them are experts in their fields of work and are professional and bring the necessary knowledge needed to manage these companies. They also have the credentials. Most of them have masters in all their professions, and they bring the necessary knowledge and the decision making in running the company. So let's take a look at its business segment, and the question would be, what does it do? So Kenolkobil has three distinct business segments, and number one is retail sales, and under retail sales it does motor fuels, K-gas, car care products, car accessories, cooking gas accessories. Number two, it provides A1 aviation fuel to major and local airlines, and that is its major revenue contributor since it provides to really big purchasers. Number three, they also sell lubricants such as castrol, which are also produced. And this makes up its fuel business, which is the core of its production and its major revenue contributor. So let's take a look at its distribution network. As we can see, its main plant is in Kenya, and it has expanded to Tanzania, Uganda, Ethiopia, Rwanda, Burundi, and Zambia. And one thing we need to note that is, in Zambia, it is its latest investment and has built a plant there. So Kenya is its main plant, and having diverged to these other countries. So let's take a look at its market share. And under its market share, you can see that from the year 2013 to 2015, at 2013 it was assessed at 14 shillings, and mid-year in 2014, there was a slump, and we can attribute this to when the Kenya Petroleum Refineries Limited banned Kenolkobil from importing oil from the local sellers. And then we have in 2014, it was midway, and in 2015, it is currently at about 8 shillings. One thing that we like to note that is that we think that the value of these shares have been undervalued, and we think that the reasons behind this are not are not basic. We'll just look at the reasons in a few. Next. So let's look at its profitability graph from the year 2012 to 2014. We can see that its graph has been rising from the year 2012 to 2014, where we have the net profit margin and the operating profit margin increasing. We can attribute this from in the past 2 years, vehicle car imports have been increasing steadily at a steady pace of 6%, which translates into increase in demand. Thus, Kenolkobil has been increasing its sales, which leads to an increase in profits. Secondly, we look at its investor ratios, and can see that its highest in 2014 was the dividend yield, which means that it has been paying, during this year, it paid the highest dividend to its shareholders. So let's take a look at the Piotrowski score. So let me explain what it is. The Piotrowski score is a score of 0 to 9, in which we score the profitability, leverage, liquidity, and source of funds, and the operating efficiency of a company from 0 to 9. So we did the research and we scored it. So for profitability, the green one is for 2013 and 2014. So according to profitability, in the year 2013, it had a score of 3 out of a possible 9 points. In 2014, this increased by 1 point to 4 points. When you look at leverage, liquidity, and source of funds, there was no change in the year 2013 to 2014. And then when you take a look at the operating efficiency, and let's take this is a very key point here. In 2013, it had 0 points. But then there was a significant change in which it improved its operating efficiency by 1 point. So that is, we can see that from its Piotrowski score, it's an upward trend in terms of profitability, leverage, and operating efficiency. So let's take a look at its market share, and the market share of Kenolkobil in Kenya in the oil industry is 18%, and its rivals such as Total and Vivo have 28% and 26% respectively. But we think that Kenolkobil's real competitors are these small entrants into the market. These small petrol stations are its real competitors, since they have 19% of the market. Yeah. So let's take a look at the prices of crude oil in the past 5 years, and this is a graph I think most of us are familiar with. In the last 5 years, in the year 2015, the oil prices are at its lowest in the last 5 years, at 35 shillings and $62 per barrel. In the year 2011, you can see that it was at about 110 shillings, and this translates into sort of an increase in profits, because one thing, Kenya does not export oil, it imports oil, meaning that less prices are good for us, thus translating into more profits. So when we ask ourselves, does this all add up? Does this all add up? And the answer is absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So why? Number one is that it benefits directly from economic growth. In the past 2 years, East African governments have been involving themselves in a lot of infrastructure projects, which translate into higher demand for oil products such as diesel, petroleum, and other products. Number two is it has a strong brand. Kenolkobil has managed to establish itself in the market as a really strong brand, and that marketed itself really well. And another thing, since it has a strong brand, it has managed to lock in clientele, big clientele such as KTDA, Kenya Tea and Development Authority, who are large purchasers of their products. Number three is that they are immune to oil prices descent. Now, this is the point where I was supposed to come to. This is the point where you say that since the oil prices have been slumping, Kenolkobil does not suffer. Why? Number one, this time round in 2013 or somewhere in 2012, the oil prices descended and Kenolkobil shares went down drastically. But this time round, the oil prices are descending in a more stable economic environment where the shilling is strong against the dollar and the markets are relatively good. So we think that even though the global oil prices have been descending, still Kenolkobil stands to benefit from this. So our recommendation to Kenolkobil is, firstly, Kenolkobil has the brand. Yeah, it has that strong brand. It has excellent customer service. When you go to the petrol station, they have that excellent customer service. They provide you with what you need. They have everything. So then they have the regional outreach. You can see that from the distribution network, they have managed to move into Southern Africa, to places up to Zambia. But now, one thing that we like to recommend them to improve on is their marketing strategy. We would like to recommend Kenolkobil to improve on their marketing strategy. Number one is that they should increase their penetration into the market, and they should also adapt marketing strategies such as using the free concept, pairing a good with a free concept. Number one is they could say maybe buy 5 liters or 20 liters of petrol and get maybe a quick car wash extra free, or buy 30 liters of diesel and get a brake fluid refill for extra free. So this would make the sales skyrocket. It's a very good method, because anything free, it is an emotional hot button. It makes people rush. People usually rush for free things, but we think that this would be an essential tool in making them increase their sales. So the conclusion, number one, is that since we have seen that through the Piotrowski score, it has positive financials, and number three, in the current economic environment, it is stable and it is growing steadily, we would recommend that you buy these shares, because as I said before, we think that the Kenolkobil shares have been undervalued, and in the future we are convicted that they will rise, and we recommend that now it's at this low price, so we recommend that you buy it now, so that by next year or in the following years it will rise, and when it rises there will be a lot of profit. So we recommend that you buy Kenolkobil's shares. So we invite questions from the judges.
Quick question.
Yes.
How does the ERC affect Kenolkobil's operations and prospects as an investment? The Energy Regulatory Commission.
Okay. In this oil market here, we see a lot of government regulation, especially with KPRL and ERC, and we think that it stands as a challenge to Kenolkobil's profitability, but not as a major hindrance. But we think that if there'd be less government regulation, this market would thrive, because the concept of free markets thrive with no government regulation. But we think that ERC is sort of a limiting factor in Kenolkobil achieving maximum profitability to its highest.
A round of applause to the gentleman.